Hi everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's a decent day for me. Nothing to complain about. Oh, wait a minute. That's what we got Snack and Chat for. No, I'm not going to complain. Don't you worry. But let's just jump right into it. When you change, the commentary gets louder. Something I didn't expect on this journey wasn't just a physical change. It was the noise. And I think some of you know what I mean when I say that. Someone always having something to say. One thing my grandmother told me years ago, no matter what you do, people will always have something to say. And I'm learning that. And it's not in just what you do. It's where you go. Someone's got something to say about it. Where you work, someone's got something to say about it. How you dress, someone's got something to say about it. And of course, you want to say, well, there's a lot of things I want to say, but I have to be respectful. I have to be polite. I have to be courteous, and I have to remind myself of who raised me. I think those of you that know me know I still have a mouth, don't matter where I come from. But it does. Someone's always got something to say about what you do, where you go, who you're with, even who you're friends with, guys. And I'm learning and I'm seeing the older I get that the more people, I would say I'd consider them friends, some of them friends, but they're acquaintances. They're people that I've allowed to be in my trusted circle, but I'm not sure if you know it, you're kind of getting kicked out. But it is. Let's get back to it. When you change, the commentary does get louder. And losing the weight, changing your physical appearance. Come on. I know I told you guys in a previous, oh, wait a minute. That hasn't aired yet. Well, scratch that. When this airs, you will already have seen the other. I know, squirrel. But you think at nearly 600 pounds, there's only a handful of stores you can shop at. So you have that look. And there's only a certain amount of look that you can get. And yes, even at my largest, I still cared about how I looked, just because I didn't, no matter how big I was, let me say this so I don't say it the wrong way and offend someone. I still cared how I looked. So I still wanted to have the best that money could buy. It wasn't a lot because there was probably 2, maybe 3 stores that you could buy a 6X shirt or a size 64-inch waist pants. And let's just say that a lot of big and tall retailers don't really have a sense of fashion for these people, because they think large men or women only want to dress a certain way. Not Michael Bryan. But losing the weight, changing your shift, being able to go to other stores to buy things, you become more visible. You take up space differently. You move with confidence. You stop shrinking yourself. Yes. What do we mean by that? You become more visible. Well, you're noticed in a different way. You're not noticed for being nearly 600 pounds. You're noticed more so for the progress you're making with your journey. The physical appearance. I used to have really dark spots on both sides of my face at one time and did not know what it was. I went to a handful of doctors, primary care, dermatologist, weight loss surgeon. I went trying to get answers as to find why my skin had all these dark spots, and they weren't just little spots here and there. They were the whole cheekbone. It looked like bruises. I remember a friend asking me one time, who punched you on the side of your face? So I'm like, my brother did. But I ended up going to a dermatologist, probably one for the last time, because I refused to see him again. And he told me, he says, in so many words, he says, your skin is stretching out because of your size. One of the first things I started noticing after I started losing a good bit of weight is those spots went away. Look, they're not there. And taking up space differently, not so much space, moving with confidence. It's something that has taken me a long time, is to be confident in myself, because let's be honest, self-esteem issues at a large size, never looking at yourself that somebody could be someone that people care about. I'm not saying that people didn't care about me. They cared about everything about me, but I didn't care about myself. I was more worried about what people thought when they saw this big half-ton guy walking around, that he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that, and he had to take a deep breath every 5 or 6 steps he took. And as far as shrinking instead of hiding behind the curtain, hiding behind people, I started putting myself out there. So I said all that to say the change wasn't just in my body, it was also in how I showed up. So change disrupts expectations. And I think we can say, whereas people in the past, oh, Michael's going to be there, Michael's going to do this, Michael's going to do that. When Michael started learning to say no, he saw how his circle changed quickly, because Michael was always a yes man. He will do whatever because he wanted to be liked and he wanted to have just those handful of friends or acquaintances. But when Michael started saying no, that circle changed, and it changed for the better. But this day, some people prefer to have the old version because I was quieter, I was more accommodating, I didn't challenge the narrative. It was whatever you say is going to happen, whatever you say is going to go, that's how it went. And not anymore. So some people, while they may not miss the old me, they miss the access they had. I'm going to be calm about these next couple of topics, guys, promise you. So we can say, when I got to a point where I did not have to shop at certain stores, I was able to go to a variety of stores. I didn't dress better to seek validation. I dressed better because I could go to those stores and just pull stuff off the rack, so to speak. I didn't have to wait and order out of a catalog for that item to come in. I could just go and select it off of the rack. Getting confidence in myself, it doesn't mean that I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant. No, Michael Bryan is not arrogant at all. But you push the wrong button, you're going to see that arrogant. Your style evolves with self-respect, respecting myself. I think we can say that. And let me just put this out there. I didn't dress differently for attention. I started dressing differently because I finally felt at home in my body. And that took a long time. And guys, honestly, I didn't start feeling as comfortable in my body as I do now till last year. Why last year? Well, there are two parts of my body that bothered me the most. That was my lower stomach and my chest. Because whereas one time you saw all of me, nearly 600 pounds, and you couldn't hide that. And like I've said in previous videos, I've seen pictures of myself where I've always got my hands in front of my chest, or I'm folded my hands in front of my stomach because I'm not wanting to pull as much attention to me, which that never really worked. It just, in my mind, it did. And so then when I had the tummy tuck in September 2022, that removed 15 pounds of skin, removed the lower stomach, the apron, and felt really good about that. But I knew I still needed to get my chest removed, my boobs. And it was only then, guys, and I remember waking up after surgery, crying, weeping. And my friend Barbara was to me in the room because they guess the nurse said he's waking up, whatever. And then the pain came around, and I said, did you do the surgery already? You know, when you're out of it, you wake up, you don't really have a perception of time or anything, or what may or may not have happened. And she says, yes. She said, I'm flat chested. She's like, yes. And then you started crying all over again. And I said, I'm really flat chested. And she says, yes, really are. And she showed me the picture and everything. And I couldn't believe it, because I was actually looking at a picture this morning, and I sent it to one of my best friends, Jennifer. And I said, Jesus Christ, look at the tits. And she's like, Michael. She says, but yes, they were there. And just crazy. When you lose the weight, this excess skin is still there. And I've told several that there are still 2 surgeries I want to have. You know, of course, I want to remove the arm skin, and I want to remove the rest of the stomach skin. You know, but if it doesn't happen, which it will happen, you mark it down, it will happen. But if it didn't, if it got to a point where I just said, hey, I'm not going to do it, I would be okay. I got rid of the 2 areas of my body that bothered me the most. And when I say, you look at myself in the mirror and not seeing that huge chest, it's rewarding. You feel like you finally in a sense, see the work, see your progress. And yes, I'm, at the gym, lifting weights and, myself, so to speak. It's still, looking at where I was versus where I'm now, and it's mind blowing. Then you got to think, still deserves your energy. Not all opinions deserve a response. Remember what I said? Everything you do, someone's always going to have something to say. And there have been people that, I don't want to say attack my character. That's the wrong thing to say. So scratch that. But I've even questioned my career, guys. Well, what do you do at Walmart? Well, I'm a fashion coach. And you got a stigma. Everybody's got something to say about careers, and always someone out there that thinks Walmart is just a job for kids. No, I started when I was a kid. I left, went back, and entering our 20th or my 20th year, and I built myself up from a cashier to what I am today. And I have a lot of people to thank for not giving up on me. We can do that another day. And there is a difference between constructive feedback and projection disguised as concern. People, and then someone said, well, you went to college? Yeah, I went to college twice. Well, 3 times, 4 times, but yeah, I have 2 degrees. Do I go around bragging about it and telling everybody and their mama about it? No. Who am I trying to prove that to? My family knows I have an education. My closest friends know that I have an education. So why do I need to go tell someone else? Well, what'd you go to school for? Well, what does it matter to you? Anyways, I'm going down the wrong rabbit hole. I promised y'all I wasn't going to be the ugly one today, but I don't owe explanations for choices that don't harm anyone. I think it was safe to say that when I completed my master's in counseling, I was going to go off and be a counselor. There's no secret. Everybody knew that. Walmart knew that. But you couldn't just at that time walk away from 15, 16 years that you have already given yourself to a company. Sorry, I'm here to stay. So, what does weight loss really teach you? Physical change is visible. Emotional growth is louder. Confidence requires boundaries. So, one thing I can say is that weight loss has taught me discipline. Growth taught me discernment. I think it's safe to say that. So, as I'm wrapping this up, because this is probably the longest video I have shot, I'll try not to do this again. I hope that you that do watch this, watch the whole thing. I know there are a couple of people that will. Well, there's a handful of people that will. My faithful friends, my faithful fans, my grandmother, Ryan Michael Golden, and Maya. I know I've got more people that will watch this. I know. Chill out, Michael. So, I said all that to say, if my growth makes you uncomfortable, that's not my responsibility to manage. When you change, the commentary gets louder, and that's how you know you're moving forward. Had another moment. I need to drink the rest of my coffee. So, once more, when you change, the commentary gets louder. Growth makes some people uncomfortable. That's okay. It's okay. I promise you, it's okay. I didn't come this far, guys, to shrink again. Till next time.